Well, they say there's a cold front coming in across the allotment over the next few days, and hopefully we'll get some rain with it, because we haven't had rain now for over a week. Well, it's a rather windy start to the week. I'm just going to pop over and see how Geoff's windbreak is doing. It seems that he's put it up just in time.
Not bad, just strengthening a few of the corner joints here. Hello.
Afternoon, Geoff.
Good afternoon. And that should stop the wind from knocking everything over. There, how's that?
Back on my own plot, a few things had also blown over, but nothing that couldn't be fixed in a few minutes. When the wind calms down, I'll make a better job of fixing this cold frame, but for the time being, just put everything back in place. Well, there's not a lot I can do today. The wind is starting to pick up. In fact, it's getting worse, and it's starting to rain as well. So I've secured everything that I can secure, and we'll just have to see what the next 24 hours will bring. Well, it's the next day, but it's still too windy outside, so I'm going to stay in the greenhouse and do a bit of sowing. And today I'm sowing my pumpkins. Now, I know the majority of people have got their pumpkin seeds in, but I'm a bit late this year, so I'm going to do these. And also, I've been sent some seeds by a viewer, and all it says on the description is magic beans. If you know what this bean is, put it in the comments box below. I'm using multi-purpose compost, and when planting the seed of the pumpkin, put it in on its side. There's less chance of it rotting. I've decided to split and pot on the mint. Look at the root system, wonderful. But it's so compacted, there's nothing I can do other than to just take a knife and cut it into 4. I'm going to give the majority of this away to friends on the allotment site, but I'm just going to take one piece and put it into a new pot and add some new fresh compost. Add a good bit of water, and in a few weeks it'll be producing fresh mint leaves. Over the past few years, this section has mainly been for storing pots, like the daffodils and the tulips, but I've decided to try and make something of it. The principles that I'm using here are basically the same as if you're taking on a brand new plot. First you turn the soil over and then go through the soil, taking out all the weeds. And try and take as much weed out as you can. Even a small section, is surprising how quickly it'll grow back into a big clump of grass. If you remember, back in February somebody gave me some old pieces of stone and I wasn't quite sure what to do with them. So I'm going to use them here as some edging to try and contain this bed. And to make life easier for me, I'm going to put some weed suppressant down, I haven't decided what I'm going to put into this bed yet. Maybe some peas or some salads. I'll decide over the next few weeks. But I'm putting this weed suppressant down first, just to give me a hand this season. I'm then filling it with a bag of fresh multi-purpose compost. And then just make it a bit more presentable by hiding the weed suppressant. If you've got any suggestions of what I can grow in this section, put it in the comments box below. One of the channels that I like to watch on YouTube is Rickvanman, and recently Rick had a video on how to use an old pallet on the allotment.
Whether I can turn this old pallet into a herb growing bed.
It just so happened that a few days ago the site had a delivery of pallets, and we've all been given one, so I decided to use mine and to do something similar to Rick. And I just so happen to have a load of pots that fit nicely, so I'm going to put some flowers and some herbs and put them into this new high-rised herb bed. Well, it's raining today, so not a lot of gardening going on today, but I've come into the greenhouse just to keep an eye on everything and to also feed Rusty. He's just arrived. Do you like that? Now, here's a tip for you. If you buy a bag of compost and you're going to use it in the greenhouse, well, put the bag in the greenhouse. And what that does is it just helps the temperature of the compost acclimatise to the temperature in the greenhouse. One of the jobs I want to do over the next few days is to clean out the greenhouse and bring the grow bags in. I've got 3 grow bags, and they're for my tomatoes, cucumbers and peppers. Something else I'll be growing in the greenhouse this year is cucamelons by James Wong. These were sown on the 21st of April and they're making good growth. And I'll be keeping these in the greenhouse when it's ready to pot them on. Look at these popcorn plants here. These are from the James Wong range. And I sowed these in April, around about the 21st. And look at them. Beautiful. Now I could put these outside, but I still think there's a possibility of a late frost, so I'll keep them in here for at least another week and then I'll think about putting them outdoors. Oh, nice stretch after your food. You ready to go home now? Back out into the rain. See you tomorrow. Bye. Bring a bit of sunshine with you. And he's off. Thought you were going home. There's not a lot to do in this weather other than stay in the greenhouse and maybe read a book or two. I recently picked up this book. It's called Lost the Plot, and it's by a couple based in Manchester, and they took a plot on about 3 or 4 years ago. And what's good about this book is the fact that they tell you their mistakes as well as their successes, and they make all the classic mistakes that a first-time allotmenteer does. So I would recommend you get hold of this book if you're just starting out on allotments, or even if you've been on allotments for a few years. There's also some hints and tips in here for the established allotmenteer, like how to make raised beds and loads of interesting hints and tips. And it's also full of wonderful pictures as well. There's a nice section in here which tells you what to do when things go wrong in the garden, like how to deal with potato blight, rust, strawberry fruit rot, and it also gives you a recommendation on how to solve the problem. There's very few books that I would actually say this about, but I would highly recommend this as well. And also it says on the back that this book is 100% compostable, but that's the last thing you'd want to do once you start reading it. And the people that have written this book have actually self-published it, so I'm sure they would appreciate any support you can give them. If you want to find out more about this book, pop along to allotmentjunkie.com. So let's hope that tomorrow is a bit better weather-wise. Isn't that so, Rusty? See you tomorrow. Right, this is handy. I've locked myself out of the shed. If you look, the inside, a little bit of wood has fallen down there, so I can't get in. Now there's another lock up here, so if I'm thinking if I can move this piece of wood, I may be able to get in that way. No, nothing yet. Bit more, nearly there. There we go. I think I've done it. Ta-da! Managed to do a bit of cleaning of the shed yesterday before I left. So it's looking a bit more decent anyway. There's still a bit more cleaning to be done, but it's a start. Now, earlier this morning, Geoff dropped off some seedlings for me just before I arrived, and this is a vegetable that I grew about 2 years ago, and it's called flower sprout, and it's basically a cross between a Brussels sprout and a kale. And if you don't like Brussels sprouts, I'd say give these a go, because they aren't as sulphurous as Brussels sprouts. So I'm going to plant these in the garden today. This is where I'm going to be planting them. Now these bits of plant that you can see here, these are actually from the field bean that I grew here over winter, which is a green manure. And all you do a few weeks before planting is you just dig it into the soil. So it may look like weeds, but it's actually doing the soil a world of good. So I'm going to plant my flower sprouts in this bed. When you grow anything from the brassica family, they like to be grown in a good firm soil. So that's cabbages, collies, Brussels sprouts, flower sprouts. So really compact the soil down. This particular dance move is called the gardener's shuffle. So I'm just making a little hole, popping the seedling in, but really pushing the soil back down so that it's nice and compacted. The lettuce is just about starting to show itself. The runner beans, they're just waiting to go out, and I'll do that after this week. The French beans, the cobra, they've been a bit slow on germination, so I might have to sow some more. And the sweetcorn over there, well, that's just waiting to go out as well. And the peas have finally shown their faces as well. They've taken quite a while to come through the soil. Geoff is on site, and his sweetcorn is now at the point where it's ready to go into the open ground. But because temperatures are forecast to dip over the next few days, he's built this glass protection around them just to be on the safe side.
There. Not exactly straight lines, but that will do.
Well, that's the end of another week on the allotment. I've got the rhubarb, now it's time to go home, make a crumble and put the kettle on. I'll see you next week.